She found the letter 40 years too late. And nothing in her life continued the same after that. Some truths don't arrive when we want them to. They arrive when we're finally old enough to survive them. People imagine truth like lightning. Loud, sudden, impossible to ignore. But sometimes truth arrives quietly. Folded into an old drawer. Wrapped in the kind of silence that tastes like memory. I still remember the sound of the paper opening. As if the past itself had woken inside that room. 40 years hidden. 40 years waiting for a heart strong enough to read it. And by accident, or destiny, that heart was hers. She was cleaning her mother's room after the funeral. No rush, grief has no schedule. She opened drawers like someone touching memories instead of things. Perfume still lived on the collars of old dresses. Handwriting slept inside recipe books. Love lingered in the dust. Then she found the drawer that resisted. A drawer that felt like it had kept breath for decades. Inside an envelope. Fragile. Yellow. Edges curled like old petals. Wax cracked with time. And on the front, her father's name. Her heart stilled. Hands shaking gently, like memory waking. She held it, but she didn't open it. Not yet. Sometimes truth must sit a while before it speaks. Questions. She grew up in that house, where silence was louder than explanations. Her father was always a story half told. A warm laugh in old photographs. A ghost in conversations that changed direction too quickly. Her mother smiled with strength. But grief hid behind her eyes like fog behind glass. There were nights she heard quiet crying in the kitchen. Not loud enough to break. Just enough to breathe sadness into walls. She never understood what was missing. But children always feel what adults refuse to say. Every family has a chapter hidden beneath decades of silence. This envelope was hers. She placed it beside her bed. Not to forget it, but because she wasn't ready to remember. She didn't sleep. Her mind played shadows against the ceiling. She imagined words inside that envelope like seeds waiting to sprout. What truth waits 40 years to be read? What love survives that long without a voice? At 3:14 a.m., she sat up, envelope in hand. Her fingers traced the wax seal. Almost broke it. But knowing changes everything. Once truth enters, the old world can't remain. She slept with the letter under her pillow. And morning felt heavier because of it. The next day she sat at the kitchen table. The house still carried her mother's perfume, faint, like a memory fading politely. She inhaled. And broke the seal. Paper unfolded like a soft confession. Ink faded by time but still alive. The first line. If you are reading this, I failed. She froze. The world sharpened, suddenly too real. Failed what? Failed who? The letter trembled slightly in her hands as she continued. Her father wrote of a woman he loved before her mother. A love young enough to be reckless. Pure enough to feel eternal. He tried to let her go. Life demanded it. Marriage required it. Duty, not desire, built his future. He loved her mother, truly. But a piece of him remained elsewhere, frozen in a time before responsibility. Her mother discovered this love once. Not through confession, but through a letter never meant to be found. She didn't confront him. She forgave him quietly, carrying the weight of loving someone not entirely hers. Love is not always ownership. Sometimes love is endurance. Just when she believed the letter ended, she flipped it. Another page. Different handwriting. Soft. Round. Familiar. It was her mother's reply, written, never sent. Words she carried in silence her entire life. It began. I knew. I always knew. And I loved you anyway. Her mother loved without demanding to be the only memory. Loved with strength rather than possession. She wrote, "If one day our daughter reads this, tell her we loved her with everything that remained." She cried. Not because love broke, but because love endured. She realized then. Her parents were human. Flawed, aching, surviving love in imperfect ways. She remembered seeing them dance in the kitchen when she was 6. Slow. Warm. A moment now clearer than it ever was. His hand on her waist, apology. Her cheek on his chest, forgiveness. Suddenly childhood made sense. She placed both pages back into the envelope. Not to hide them, but to hold them gently. She whispered 2 words to an empty room. I understand. And for the first time in her life, she slept without wondering why their love felt like both home and distance. Truth doesn't always hurt. Sometimes truth frees. The next morning, she returned to the box. Not because she feared it, but because she could finally breathe around it. Beneath the folded letters lay another envelope. Unopened. Undated. Addressed to her, only her. Her heartbeat stumbled. This story isn't finished. Some truths don't belong to the past. They arrive for the living. Next episode. The truth she found in the old envelope her mother hid for decades. And this one hurts even deeper.